Welcome back to Where the Road Takes Us, and today it's not taking us that far. We are in Whittier, California. It's a town where I live. I've lived here for about 5 years. About a mile and a half away from this very spot. So let's take a look around Whittier. We're going to look at some historical things, some presidential history, and quite a few filming locations. So if you don't think you know Whittier, you probably do. And while you're here, hit that like button, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Helps the channel grow. All right, moment of truth. You may notice the light looks different than it did a minute ago. So I recorded this morning. Went home to watch the footage, and the next, 3 to 4 minutes isn't there. I didn't hit record. So I'm going to re-record this first part again. Let's see if this works. All right. We are on Greenleaf Avenue in Uptown Whittier. This used to be downtown, or main Whittier. This was Whittier. This is a restaurant that's only open in the summer. This restaurant, the Four Bricks, I've never seen open. It looks great, but it has never been open since I've been here. Okay, so Whittier was founded in 1887 by Quakers. They bought some land, spread the word, and friends, as Quakers are called, from around the country, bought land here, sight unseen, moved here, and founded Whittier. It's named after John Greenleaf Whittier, who was a famous Quaker poet. He never visited the town, but he did write a poem in the town's honor. No, I'm not going to recite it, don't worry. It actually goes back farther. The history goes back to the 1700s. There was a Mexican land grant. Let's look at this little fox really quick here. I'll finish that story. There's sculptures all over the town. This one's called The Redrasal by Sandy Scott. It's a Mexican land grant, 1700s. Pio Pico, the last governor of Spanish California, lived here. His house is still here and it is now a national park. Right here is Monty's camera. It's been here since the 70s. They still sell film and digital cameras. They used to do film processing. Monty's camera. Remember that name. We're going to hear that in a little bit later. So a lot of these stores have been here since late 1800s, early 1900s. They've just been redone. They're department stores, hardware stores. Now it's local restaurants and shops. Some restaurants, like that Supermex right there, moved in right before the pandemic. Been open for about a month and then they haven't been open since. They say they're hiring, but nothing yet. We're coming up on one of my two favorite coffee shops in Uptown. This was Lift. And I'm noticing for the first time today, if you can see up there above Lift, it's an old Montgomery Ward sign. That was Montgomery Ward's over there. Never noticed that before. Alright, so I mentioned Monty's camera a few minutes ago. So right here down the street is where they filmed a scene from The Fabelmans, the Steven Spielberg movie about his life. And they actually made this Arizona. And they recreated a camera shop that he went to called Monty's Camera. So we have a Monty's Camera here in Whittier. I work at El Monte, sorry. They have a Monty's Camera shop in Whittier, but they created a Monty's shop out of one of these buildings down here. So the scene of the movie is with the young man playing the young Spielberg and Seth Green. And Seth Green tries to give him a camera. He doesn't want to take it. They made the shop into Monty's Camera. They filmed all right here. You can notice these big blue backdrops there. I have pictures. I'll drop them in right now. You should be seeing them now, hopefully. What it looked like when they filmed. We were down here in this street. You can just see actors coming up and down. This whole street was all 50s cars. 50s actors. We are parked down by that church watching. So all the pictures you're going to see or are seeing now are taken from down there. Of this. Which was Arizona. Alright. Now in a second you're going to see me again, and it's going to be morning again. Here we go. And shift to morning. Weren't those pictures cool? And or video? I don't remember what I had, but how would I put in there? Let's go back to Greenleaf. So yeah, up here is Monty's Camera, and they shot some scenes in front of these blue panels here. So it said 1800s. Quakers came in. They call themselves Friends, and they bought a bunch of land, sight unseen. They just bought land and moved here and made this a Quaker town. We still have a Quaker church in Uptown. We're going to see some things later on here that go back to 1915. The town clock was put up in 1915. It's since been moved to a different location, but we'll show that today. There are a lot of coffee shops here in Uptown. The one on the right is one of my favorites, one of my two favorites. It's Lift Coffee right here. They do a very good Spanish latte. I recommend it. My other favorite is Bark. I'm gonna stop by Bark and get a coffee in a bit. So this is all the old Montgomery Ward building. It's now just different shops. So I've lived in Whittier. There used to be a hardware store. I've lived in Whittier for about 5 years, and a lot of these places have already changed names, ownership. In that time, COVID really hurt this area. This place is great. They do fideo. This is a rice Spanish soup. Old record store. You have to love old record stores. Ooh. Right there. Richard Nixon. We're going to have some Richard Nixon history in a few minutes here. Richard Nixon has a lot of strong ties to this town. He was born in nearby Yorba Linda, and that is where his library is, and he's buried. But when he was about 9 years old, his family moved to Whittier. And they bought a house in 1945, I believe. And he sold it in the 70s. And it's still there. We'll see it later on. It was part of a housing tract, and it's the only house left. And the owner wants to demolish it, and he's being fought on that because it was a presidential house. That's pretty cool. That's been a few different restaurants. Up here on the right, if you like Bavarian food, Bavarian pretzels, beer, the Rusty Monk is a place to go. You dig it? Over here across the way is the original Whittier National Trust and Savings Bank. I'm not sure what it is now. It was a bar for a while. There are a lot of bars in Uptown, but liquor licenses are hard to get. So there's no hard liquor. They're mainly just beer and wine. Unless you have a restaurant attached, then you can have hard liquor. But all the bars in Whittier are just beer and wine. Okay, across the street, that is the Nixon or Nixon Plaza. That is where, right there is where Richard Nixon had his first law offices. He went to high school here. He went to Whittier Law College here, and that was his first law office. What I've been told, I don't know if it's true or not, was in these offices he received a letter asking him to run for public office, and of course he did, and the rest is history. So that is the Nixon, home of Nixon's first law office. Now it is home of the Whittier Brewing Company. This clock up here I mentioned earlier, it's from 1915. It's been here since 1915. It hasn't always been there. It was moved here in the 1920s. And it works now. It's been repaired. So Whittier Brewing Company is now in the Nixon, and they have a brewery, obviously, and then they have like different pop-ups. They have like a pizza place, a barbecue place, a great pastry shop. Oh my god, it's so good. On here, you can come in here, have a beer, got some food. Whittier Historical Landmark. First Law Officer Richard M. Nixon. And then right now, if my editing skills are all that, we're going to see the home Richard Nixon grew up in at the age of 9 and sold in the 70s when he was in office. Right now. We are on Whittier Boulevard right now, and that is Mi Burrito, one of our favorite places to get Mexican food. And this is Nixon's home. 1945, his parents bought this house. And he lived here, and he sold it in 1975. It used to be part of a larger housing tract, but it's the last house here. So he lived here from the age of 9 on. Again, the current owners are looking to demolish it, probably sell the property. but they're being fought on that. So there we go. Nixon's former childhood home, and a great place to get a burrito. Right next to each other. You can't go wrong. So that's me burrito. That's the Nixon House, and there are more homes back here. So I may be wrong. There may actually be more homes from the original track that's still there behind us. If you know, let me know in the comments. That was cool, right? Wasn't that cool? Wasn't that cool seeing that house? Hopefully I mentioned, if I didn't mention, right next to that house on Whittier Boulevard is one of my favorite Mexican restaurants, Mi Burrito, right next door. So now we're going down to my favorite coffee shop in Uptown, Bark Coffee. I got myself a nice latte. Over here is the Nixon Steakhouse across the way. And I believe... I've never been there. It's kind of expensive. I always say I'll go for a special occasion, and I never do. But I believe the head chef of the Nixon Steakhouse, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, please. I believe he was either a winner or a runner-up in Iron Chef. So that's cool. So this is Bark Coffee, one of my favorite coffee places in Whittier. I'm gonna grab some coffee. Be back in a minute. And we are back. I have my Bark Coffee, got a nice latte. Let's continue walking. I didn't mention, the area we are in, Uptown, is Greenleaf Boulevard, which of course, as we all know, is famous Quaker poet John Greenleaf Whittier's middle name. If you want to come here, the crossroads for the middle of it are Greenleaf and Philadelphia. A lot of public parking. We have a brand new parking structure. Alright, we are back on Greenleaf. Beautiful, picturesque town. We'll head down to the end here, and then we'll look at some movie filming locations. Turnbull's is a great place. Pub style food, beer, and have a great trivia night. The Hoover used to be a hotel. It had a ballroom. It was kind of the place to go in the 40s. Now it's apartments. And I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I've only lived here for 5 years, but it's named after Herbert Hoover's wife, who was from Whittier. Another presidential connection. We also have a school named after her. This is the Whittier Cinema. It's a really fun place. Great popcorn, and it's been redone last couple of years. New seats, new projection system, new speakers. If you take Greenleaf north to Beverly Boulevard and turn right, you'll go into Turnbull Canyon. Turnbull Canyon is a great place to ride motorcycles, to ride bicycles. There's some great hiking trails up there. There you go, now you can see me. A lot of weird history up there. Supposedly there's been cults up there and murders. I looked that up. That's not true. They say that a bush full of kids died up there. And then if you park your car in the right spot, the ghosts of the dead babies will push your car out of the way. I looked it up. There's been no bus crash. There's an insane asylum that burnt to the ground up there. That's not true. The gates of hell are supposedly in Turnbull Canyon. In fact, if you look on Google Maps, you'll see a little mark for the gates of hell. It's just some guy's house. Leave the guy alone, please. House is gone. The gates are still there. They're actually building a new house on that property. Maybe they'll tear the gates down. But what did happen there was, I think in the 40s, a plane was coming from the east to Los Angeles, flew too low in the fog, crashed into a mountain, everyone died. I've hiked out to that spot. There's nothing there anymore. It's just field. But yeah, so that's true. But all the rest, no. On the other side of the hill up there is the largest cemetery in North America, Rose Hill Cemetery, and they actually filmed some of Terminator 2 there. That's where Sarah Connor's grave was, where they had all the guns hidden. But yeah, so that's Uptown Whittier, Greenleaf. Now let's go check out some movie locations. This is the house of the original movie Matilda, which means somewhere in there is a chokey. Don't put me in the chokey. Okay, over here behind the hedges is the house from Disturbia. They filmed inside and outside. The hedges are newer. That's Ashley's house, where he would look at her, changing and became friends. The house of the serial killer was filmed somewhere else. But yeah, that's it. And also the houses across the street were also used. Pretty much the entire street was used, except for the house of the killer, which was added in later. We're in one of my favorite parks in Whittier. We're in Central Park. We are here with our friend John Greenleaf Whittier, the namesake of Whittier. Again, he never actually made it here to visit. He's a famous Quaker poet. So all around this park we have churches, our post office, and a bunch of beautiful, beautiful homes. Rose gardens. But we are here right now for a filming location for the original, the one and only Hocus Pocus. This is the Devil's House from the trick-or-treating scene with the witches. And it's right here across the street. They actually used a couple of these houses. This one in front of us is the main house from Hocus Pocus. Look at all these houses are beautiful. You can see the Nixon over there. Tall building over there, tallest building in the area. They also have a lot of festivals here. We'll close this off and have parties, city events, Central Park. Alright, in the beginning of the video, I told you that you probably already know Whittier, whether you know you do or not. And this is what I meant. We are at Whittier High School, or as you may know it, Hill Valley High School, from Back to the Future. Of course, there were no gates back then, but they shot interiors and exteriors here. They used everything inside. They used the gym. They used the back of the school, which I'll take you to in a minute. We're at Hill Valley High School. Interesting story. I applied for a job here about 20 years ago and had no idea they'd filmed the movie here. And I walk in, I'm sitting in the hallway waiting for my interview. And as I look down the hallway, it hits me, I know exactly where I am. And so I sit down in the interview and I say, before we start, I'm sorry, did they film Back to the Future here? And their eyes just like roll. And I proceeded to talk about Back to the Future for like the entire interview. And didn't get the job. Go figure. But I got to go inside and walk around. I'm sure it's changed since then, but 20 years ago, it looked a lot like the movie. So Whittier High School, Hill Valley High School. Let's go look around back to see where a lot of the movie took place. A lot of the end of the movie took place. Let's go look. We are behind Whittier High School. Although the gate was not there before, this is where a lot of the end of the movie happened. Marvin Berry cuts his hand. Marty's dad beats up Biff. All right here behind Whittier High School. Here and then around the corner, but none of that was here back then. You gotta get back in time. Thank you so much for watching our tour around Whittier today. Some of the history, the presidential history, the filming locations of Whittier, in a place I call home. Been here for 5 years and I love it. So thanks a lot. We'll do some more of these for other towns around the area. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you next time when we see where the road takes us. Thanks for watching.